webinar. We are talking about effective advertising for a small business budget. And if you've been on our previous webinars, we're glad to have Ken Campbell and Elizabeth Berg with us. Ken is a business development manager at AdCellerant, a longtime partner of VPA, and he's a newspaper executive with over 25 years experience in advertising sales, direct marketing, and B2B sales. He, as a promotions and marketing expert, he grew a single automotive client into a multi-million-dollar direct mail firm before pivoting back to the newspaper business as digital marketing director. So he has been in the trenches, just like all of us are. Over the years, he's worked with over 1,000 different businesses, developing marketing plans, both big and small, and has always acted as a trusted advisor to his client. Ken lives near Clemson, South Carolina, as you can see from his attire, with his wife of 28 years and their 3 children. I'll introduce Elizabeth. She's the Senior Director of Business Development for AdCellerant with more than 15 years of digital marketing experience. Elizabeth's background includes leadership roles within all major media categories, including print with the Colorado Press Association and the Denver Post, television with CBS, and radio with Odyssey. Fun fact, Elizabeth was also an AdCellerant partner before joining the team. So she's seen both sides, and her passion is industry knowledge. Creative leadership style has enabled her to directly impact the accelerated growth of digital revenue within media organizations, while maintaining a focus on developing goal-driven marketing strategy for small businesses. So she was born and raised in Texas and has called Colorado home for over 20 years. She's a University of Colorado Boulder graduate and lives outside of Denver with her husband and 2 children. So welcome, Elizabeth and Ken. We're so glad to have you here, and we treasure your partnership with VPA. So thank you.
Really appreciate that. Thanks for the intro. Elizabeth, our bios are a little bit of a mouthful. We might have to shorten that, y'all.
I'm gonna trim it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's really great to be here, and certainly reciprocate. Love the partnership with your organization, and really just excited to get in front of newspaper people. Myself, very similar to Elizabeth. I was an AdCellerant partner before I come over here to run around the country and talk to a lot of the fine newspaper people that I know are in the room. So, Elizabeth and I both have been on the streets just like y'all and sold this stuff. And so really we're here today just to kind of have a real cool, casual conversation. And, with it being the heart of college football season, I apologize for my competition out there in the world for the background, but hey, it's that time of the year, so we all got to have a little bit of fun with it. Elizabeth is going to counterbalance the obsessive college football guy over here, so that's kind of the plan, right, E?
Right, that's right, absolutely.
All right, well, let's kind of dive in, guys. We really want to get some good stuff in front of you here, so I'll dive into the presentation. So kind of the roster here of what we're gonna go through. And again, ripe with football analogies here, but we're going to kind of talk about really those field conditions, the economic field conditions, obviously, understanding what you're facing out there in terms of your competitors in the marketplace. A few analogies on product we really want to dive into and have this webinar be useful, something you could take out to the streets in terms of what digital products are kind of working out there, what plays, so to speak, are being completed, and that goes for small pitches, all the way up to full long passes and really trying to win the games. And then again, if my football fans in the room, hey, it's all about the second half, y'all. You got to be able to make those adjustments based on what you see in the field, and then again, hey, let's not forget those cheerleaders. They're there for a reason, so we got to cheer on our successes when we get them. and try to multiply that and boost the bottom line for all of us. Guys, at the end of the day, winning in marketing, as local marketers is really selling our core product, but then taking these, digital products and using it to kind of shore up our bottom line. So that's really what we're going to dive hard into today. So there you go. Here for you UVA folks. There you go. There's your boys. So a little introduction. We won't spend too long on this, but we do want to introduce who we are as a company here at AdCellerant. So I'm going to throw this to my senior director of business development, Elizabeth, and let her kind of talk you guys through a little bit in terms of who we are as a company.
Thanks, Ken. And absolutely. Quick heads up for everyone joining. We are recording this. So if you are, if you have colleagues that weren't able to join or whatever, don't worry about it. You'll be getting a follow-up email from either AdCellerant and or the VPA with the recording. So we've got you covered. And any sort of questions that y'all might have during this webinar, we want to try and make it as as conversational as possible in this virtual setting. So please use that chat feature or Q&A feature. Ken and I'll be sure to either address or bring it up in the webinar. But back to AdCellerant, who are we? What are we all about? How do we support our print partners in this evolving space? So at the crux of it all, AdCellerant is a technology and a digital advertising company. And our goal, our war cry, our mission is to, as you see here, make the complex simple. I think digital's gotten a bad rap for a long time of just being confusing, right? There's practically a separate language for digital. There is all the jargon, new pricing models, attribution models. I mean, it's kind of its own entity. We want to take that stigma off the table, especially when your sellers are talking to local advertisers. We want them to talk about solutions and ROI with their client and not worry about all this back end stuff. We want to make the complex simple. And we do that. We're actually really able to do that very successfully and very well with our partnerships through this white labeled and strategic partnership that we do have with our media partners. So we're working with any sort of media organization who wants to repurpose any and all of these solutions, and we'll touch on a couple today, as their own in the marketplace. We've built out our own tech suite that oversees the entire digital sales process. So again, your team is not, I call it the swivel chair, right? They're not hopscotching from one place to another to try to put a plan and recommendation together. They have one single source tool that oversees all of those elements. We're based in Denver, Colorado. We grew during the pandemic. I was employee number 86. I started on March 16th, 2020, y'all. Day of the world.
136.
136. We've grown. We're almost about 200 employees right now. But really, that's about the growth our partners are experiencing with their local advertisers in the marketplace. Their average revenue growth is about 30% year over year for partners who are leaning into this partnership with us. And we're working in tandem together to reach these goals and objectives of local advertisers. So enough about us. I'm going to shimmy it back over to Ken because this is really where it all comes together from a unification standpoint. And then we'll take this and translate it into, gosh, all things football, right?
Yeah, all things football. It's that time of the year. So yeah, in terms of how we, do that, and this, I'm kind of use this, y'all, to dive into, some of the solutions and ideas that we've got to present that you guys can really take out onto the street and sell. But our formation, so to speak, it's not a wishbone, it's not a wildcat. This is really our formation as a company. So, we really support our partners by going out and doing these three really key things to support the partnership. So that's the sales enablement piece, which is, really coming up with the ideas, the case studies, the training to make it simple, as Elizabeth alluded to earlier, keep the complex simple. One of the things I learned, y'all, on the streets was you can over explain digital and you'll just watch your customers' eyes glaze over. If you keep it simple, and as E said there, talk about solutions, be specific about the product. That's when I really started, even as an older guy, that's where I really started selling the deals quickly, and we really snowballed. So that execution is key. And then obviously reporting is massively important. It's really where the renewals come. You got to be able to tell the story of success, show it to them in a super transparent way. So if you can do all those things with the right products, things really start to rock and roll. But again, look, just like any football game, field conditions matter, right? Here in Clemson, I've got a hurricane, potentially Cat 1. I think by the time it hits Charleston, tropical storm. By the time it gets to me, we're gonna have a wet field, probably for our game on Saturday. So field conditions matter. Economic field conditions matter. So Elizabeth, there's been rumblings. Why don't you speak a little bit to what we're dealing with as business people out here in the marketplace, the kind of the good, bad, and the ugly?
Absolutely. And this is not new to anyone. We're living it day in and day out, personally and professionally. But it's, to echo Ken, making sure that this is a part of also our kind of conversations with our clients, right? And how are they kind of going through these tides, right, of uncertainty right now? There have been a lot of ebbs and flows. So it's super important for us to make sure that we, as the marketing consultants for local businesses, that we are proactively connecting with our clients, still with ideas, still with making sure that they understand the importance of staying present in the marketplace, keeping their visibility front and center to their target customers. Because guess what? Spending is still looking really secure, right? We need to be sure that we're not backing off of, oh gosh, clients it's just not the right time. COVID really kind of taught us that when economic times or any sort of uncertain times come about, that's when a lot of companies need to double down, reassure your customers that you are here for them, that you have the products and services, that you have what they're going to need, in their daily lives, right? So this, I think, is super important. This is some great, this is Burrell data, correct, Ken?
Yeah. We've got Burrell. Yeah,
Love it.
Source there. But yeah, this is Burrell coming out. So
absolutely. And, this just gives us a, again, that visual, but also kind of that reassurance, right? That spending is still happening and is still going to happen as we head into Q4. More than half of millennials and Gen Z business owners and marketing planners, they plan to spend a little bit less in reaction to rising costs. Spend less in reaction to rising costs, not spend at all. Spend less, right? Maybe reallocate. So I want y'all to be sure you're thinking about, how do we take this data here and reposition it in the right and proactive way for our advertisers. And then when we look at the other side of the screen, we're seeing contrast, 81% of Gen Xers and boomers. I'm a Gen Xer. We've all kind of seen, mayhem of an economy before. So they are planning on spending the same, if not more, right? Yep. So they are looking, that's 81% of these business owners and local SMBs, they're ready to double down, right? And make the impact that is needed for their business, right? For the longevity of their business. So when we look at this,
amen, Elizabeth.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and our job really as sales reps on the streets is, kind of the bottom here. Our job is to go out and reassure, have these
Absolutely.
Conversations. Don't let your advertisers get hung up in negativity, because the news can be often focusing on the negative side of things. But the data that you've pointed out there, Elizabeth, is real. So it's really time to have them focus on where things need to go. So
absolutely.
So this again kind of break it down for us a little bit, Elizabeth, in terms of what does that field condition look like if we're focusing on the positive instead of the negative?
I mean 100%. I think I think you really hit the nail on the head with staying positive about this, because guess what? We all know that local SMBs, they're looking to you for that reassurance, but for those ideas, right? Business doesn't end because the fields are wet, right? Because there's a storm. Things got to continue. Things got to go on, and you still have to plan. 6 months, a year from now, 2 years from now. But you've maybe got to make some slight adjustments to your marketing plan. And guess what, y'all? That's where you come in. That's where they're trusted print consultants come in, because you're going to be able to say, all right, well, looking at kind of this phase one, I'm looking at this slide going from left to right. The noise level might be down right now. Competitors might be kind of pulling back, right? Maybe they're readjusting their spend in the marketplace. This is a great time for your clients to have really front and center exposure, right? Reposition their brand, reposition a product, change up some of the messaging, right? And really make sure that they're driving home their, consistency, right, to that customer. And I think it's also important to remember that, we're as animals, humans, right? We're kind of fickle. We've got short-term memory. If something's not in front of us all the time with that consistency, and we know it because we've seen TOMA campaigns, we know the importance of having frequency. That's what's going to generate those results for clients. When advertisers cut back on that spending, the brand loses that share of mind. I'd never heard of that before. Share of mind. It is so correct, because guess what? That's an opening for then a competitor to shimmy on in there. So you need to look at this two ways with your advertisers. How can you make sure that they're not letting a competitor, I should say, shimmy in on their share of mind, right? And how do they really take that opportunity to hit hard home to their customers that they're in here, that you're there for the long run, right? And having the images of stability and really that positive marketing positioning as well. Just as you as sellers are talking about, this is how we're going to be proactive, right? Given these circumstances, the creative needs to reflect that. The messaging in these ads needs to reflect that as well. And guess what? Side benefit for a lot when it comes to the field conditions, the cost of advertising may drop, right? It may kind of adjust and shift, and they're going to be reallocating those dollars too, and maybe other platforms. Super important for you to stay, again, in front of those clients, having those consultative conversations, and making sure that I love this, your opponents are digging in at the scrimmage.
Yeah, this is the good hard Burrell data. And by the way, folks, this is Q2 data. So these numbers that we're looking at here, which are really extremely positive, considering what was going on in second quarter. Of course, since then, gas prices have dropped back down. Some of those inflationary pressures have eased a little bit. Obviously, we still got some issues on the field. But again, even in Q2, you see some great numbers here. Really more of an optimistic outlook. I mean, you're talking 73% of small business advertisers that they're polling. And if you guys know Burrell, they're polling, not a couple dozen businesses, but thousands and thousands across the country. So they really give a great outlook. 73% saying, hey, it's steady as you go, or increasing. So that's what we want to hear as salespeople. So listen, don't listen to the negativity. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the people on the Twitter feed that are, telling your boys they're going to get their butts whooped this weekend. You got to stay positive out there and go out and fight for your dollars. So with that, let's kind of dive into, kind of my favorite part, y'all, because, I'm an old newspaper dog, old sales guy. I love getting on, I always love getting into the mix on the streets and selling the product. So let's talk about some of those products that we're seeing, through our platform that are really selling really well. And I'm going to kind of cover one of my favorites. So one of the products that we use frequently is something called device ID targeting. I call it kind of a short pass type of product. So I use that analogy because it's really kind of easy to pitch. It doesn't require a full 15-page proposal. It's just a nice, easy conversation to have with people. Really, what we lean into there is the fact that that phone that just rang, we'll put that on mute. That these devices are with us at all times, right? And everywhere we go, we're leaving these little breadcrumbs with our device IDs, and we've got data providers that are scooping that up. So what we're able to do from a product standpoint is really use kind of a geofencing time machine, is what I kind of jokingly call it. So with any physical location in the US, we can We can geofence those locations and tell you what devices were there, and in turn generate an ad campaign. So what does that look like with that short route to a business owner? So, all right, I'll put on my little salesperson hat, y'all, and here's kind of the way I would pitch it. So I've got a friend of mine runs a little craft beer joint down the hill here in Wall Hollow, South Carolina. And so I went to him and had a real simple conversation. It's the same conversation that I had with him about his quarter page ad in the newspaper. Hey, you know, what's the message need to be? Who are your competitors that we need to target? You know, so how do we talk you up? We really had that same conversation. And as part of that conversation, I asked him a real simple question, which was, who are your competitors? So he gave me those competitors. I wrote them down. I came back to our digital assets and cranked out what we call an audience insight report. But again, essentially what it is, it's a little time machine look back into all the devices that were in his competitors' locations. That's literally folks who are holding their phones, you know, drinking craft beer in other bars. So I'm actually going to jump into, let me actually pull the report up here, y'all. Just give me a second. All right, so this is the report that we actually used. So again, no fancy presentation. This is a little short pass approach. I came back to him and said, hey, listen, in those 5 locations you gave me, here's 15,000 plus devices. So phones of people sitting in other craft beer places. Here are the total visits, bunch of data mine stuff, age, income, all this stuff. He really didn't care about much of that. Really what he loved was this, because that got his attention. Hey, those are eyeballs that I definitely need to reach, right? And try to get to come into my business. So here's how I completed the pass. So boom, it's in the hands. And here's how I know I succeeded and got the first down. The next report that I'm able to provide to him after the first month is we call it an attribution report, fancy for foot traffic. So we were able to show him that of those 15,000 eyeballs that we tried to reach, we were able to get 100 of those people to walk into his bar, sit down, and do some business. And he saw that when I came in to show this report to him. I remember that day distinctly because he poured me a beer as I was walking through the door. He was really happy. He said, man, I've seen so many new faces this month. And let's just be honest, y'all, you know, as ad reps, sometimes we take it on the nose when, you know, when the customer doesn't feel like the ad worked. Boy, it's fun when you come in there and get that positive affirmation and a slap on the back. We really get a lot of joy out of that. I know I did. So, any case, I'm gonna go back to my slideshow here. But Elizabeth, that been your experience with that particular product as well?
Absolutely, but I wish more of a custom beer or a gimlet for me that the bartender would serve. But I love that, and I think you just hit something that really should echo with everyone. You're not changing up your sales pitch here. This is not a total reinvention, right? Or, you know, a deep dive into the ins and outs of the product. This is keeping it, right, making the complex simple. This is keeping to what you do so well every darn day. And that's connecting with your clients, asking those pointed client needs analysis questions. Who are your competitors? And then coming back with the solution. Ken, you didn't say geofencing, did you? You didn't say this is device ID and how it works. No.
Yeah, and again, that's why I jokingly call it a short pass, because it just didn't require any of that complex talk. It really was, you know, you said it earlier, Elizabeth, that swivel of the chair just to a digital conversation, but without all the lingo and, you know, trying to over explain. Just keep it simple, same conversations you're having in print. So really, you know, really fun. Now, I again, back to our football analogies, you know, those are nice. Those are easy conversations, but hey, let's just be honest out here, folks. You've got clients who are in the digital space. They're a little bit more sophisticated in their ad buys. They might be spending more than my buddy down here at the tap room. And so you got to be ready to have those conversations. Those long passes, you know, those are those $2,500, $5,000, $10,000 deals, you know, those tier 3 and tier 4 opportunities that are out there. You got to be ready to dive in there. So Elizabeth, talk a little bit, you know, with your experience in print and, you know, and broadcast mediums of all sorts. Talk to them a little bit about what that conversation can and should look like when you're in front of somebody that's a little bit more sophisticated.
Absolutely. I think making sure it's, you know, first and foremost, always about them, right? What do they need to get out of this, right? What's going to be super important and impactful for them? And if you're going for this long game, or if you're going for this omni-channel approach or multi-pronged, approach in terms of product, you've got to be sure that you understand as a seller what that journey looks like for the customer, right? So from any core, core media, whether it's print or broadcast, whatever media you're in, y'all are in print. We need to first talk about that branding and awareness, maximizing eyeballs. So that's the hook, right? That's the lead in, and they trust your publication. They value the relationship. They value your content. This is where people go in the community to know what's happening. That alignment is there. So take that and you're going to expand upon it to make sure that you're connecting with their customers along each level in this sales funnel that we've all seen, right? And I think it's super important to also, be mindful of that. There's no silver bullet ever when it comes to marketing. It's just not going to be print. It's just not going to be broadcast. It's just not going to be digital. You've got to have a great blend of these tactics together and multiple digital tactics, right? Multiple print assets and sponsorships or inserts. This has got to be, especially for these whales and bigger tiered clients that Ken was talking about, you've got to be looking at all solutions to make sure the end result is what the client wants to achieve, right? Their goals and objectives. Something super important, especially given the, economic scenario where we are right now. This sales funnel, your savvier clients, they're taking a sharper look at this right now and where the spend is at each of these levels. Who am I working with right now to bring me, those eyeballs, and who's working on kind of these mid-funnel tactics, right? You want to make it easy for them so they can come to you, their trusted print consultant and rep, and be able to facilitate all of these. But you're going to come to the table with recommendations, right? All right, well, we've got a lot of money here in this middle part. Let's maybe reassess and shift to maybe lower funnel tactics, given the fact that we, again, in the economic world, people still need to be found on Google. Right? Things like search engine optimization and search engine marketing, they aren't going away. People actually are starting to shift dollars towards some of those tactics, right? So they've got that branding and awareness at the top, and then they're really making sure that they get those returns with those low conversion products. So
well, and no, I think you hit it on the head there with, and again, for sales reps in the room here, it is about assessment. Okay. Just like in college football, the coaches have got that laminated, you'll see the head coach, that laminated thing with the small, I don't know how they read it, by the way, but all the different play scenarios, double-sided, we've got to come, I guess kind of mentally with that in our brain and ready to assess, what the client needs. And again, as Elizabeth said, whether it's top of the funnel solutions or really anything along the journey here down to the bottom of the funnel, we've got to be ready to have that conversation. So, but again, back to football, sometimes you get in front of a customer. I know what happened to me when I was selling digital. Sometimes there's some apprehension. They don't trust the slant pass, or they're scared of that long pass and really investing a large amount of money in digital. So a little bit of running game doesn't hurt either. You can make some gains in the field, with 3 or 4 or 5 yards in a cloud of dust with the running game. So for us, that is local SEO. So as many of y'all probably know, Google My Business went away. They changed that now to Google Business Profile. Yep. And so we're seeing in our platform is a big explosion in really kind of a really low cost opportunity. Most of our partners are selling a local SEO cleanup for somewhere in the ballpark of $200 to $300 a month, kind of as a subscription. And really, what that does is it's an easy sale, it's an easy conversation. Any business that's got a retail location or a service business, this profile of their phone number, way to reach them, their website, that box that comes up when they search, it's really crucial that is accurate, that it's shared across different directories. So we're seeing a lot of partners use this little short play just to kind of get the ball down the field and connect with their advertisers, right, Elizabeth? And what I've seen, you know, in the real world is that it helps them get comfortable with digital, where maybe they're just not ready to really, you know, again, go for those longer passes. Okay, so second half adjustments. Just kind of a word here on that, and I won't spend a ton of time on it, but I will say this, you know, as print reps, you know, we go in with an idea, we go in with a spec ad. You know, we may come in with, again, you know, we may come in with my short pass idea, a little device ID pitch. But the reality is, you know, just like in football, the second half is everything. So we've got to be able to be to adjust. And so, you know, as with your print conversations with these folks, just to me, a good piece of advice is to go into those conversations with an open mind. You know, you might go in with that little device ID pitch, and then they hit you with, you know, a much bigger opportunity. You got to be ready to have those conversations. I know that's something you dealt with on the streets as well, right?
Yeah. No, it's reading the room, reading your audience, right? I'm even thinking, and you all know, well, y'all don't know, but I'm letting you know, I don't know really anything about sports. This is Ken's football thing, but I know that I've seen my husband watch enough games. You know, they've got the quarterbacks have those plays, that thing on their arm right here, right? And they're reading where everyone is. They're reading the defense. They're looking at what is actually happening. That's exactly what we need to be doing. Did I do it right, Ken, with the thing on the quarterback?
It's honestly a better sports analogy than I had. So I'm super, you know, we have the most exciting 25 seconds in college football. That might've been the most exciting 15 seconds
I think
of a non-sports person using a sports analogy that I've ever heard.
I think I did it. I think it's also super important too, that with, you know, as you know, second half reassessing, when you're going in and you have to pivot, right? You've got to make those adjustments. Think about clients too, or prospects that you spoke to 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. Re-engage with them, especially now since things are a little bit different, right? Maybe they were working with, you know, they were saying, oh, we're fine with digital, we're fine and good. Revisit those conversations. Ask those probing questions about reporting and analytics and what does their ROI look like. Don't take any of those conversations that maybe didn't end in a close right then and there. Don't take those for granted. Reassess, again, those opportunities to see how you can kind of loop them back into your pipeline and continue to have more of a strategic conversation about what's happening right now and how you can help them propel even better in the future.
Well, and again, you know, kind of looking at the timeline of the year, right? You know, we have had, you know, gas prices go down. You know, some of those inflationary issues have been eased a little bit. There is some optimism going in the fourth quarter. So yeah, that guy that told you no, you know, back in April because, you know, he was looking at $5 gas prices and was seeing a dip in his retail business. Yeah, that guy might be ready to talk right now. So yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great point that it is time to circle back. And yeah, the play might not have worked. You know, the corner might have come off and intercepted the ball on you the last time round. But now, you know, it's later in the game and now that play is open. So, you know, but again, you know, and this, I do want to speak a little bit to maybe some of the managers in the room, but also the sales reps that are here. You know, the one thing that I learned selling digital was that if I was doing it right, it wasn't overwhelming my day. You know, at print people, we're all on deadlines. We got our special sections. You can't go out and have it be your whole week. So, you know, how do we kind of cheerlead ourselves on? How do we cheerlead our team on to really, you know, do well with digital and make a lot of money? The reality and what I learned, Elizabeth, when I was on the streets was that it didn't need to be, you know, my central focus. I went out, dealt with my print people. I sold my special sections. What I used to try to do was incorporate a couple quality digital conversations over the course of a week. If I could do more than that, great. But you know, the scenario I'm showing on screen here was something that I really lived in when I was in the print world, which was a couple good, solid conversations a week with a little bit of a pre-sales tool, maybe. And so, you know, you throw 8 of those on the board a month. you close 50% to 75. I was always somewhere in the ballpark of 50 to 60% closing ratio. And even, listen, I know y'all, there's a lot of small newspaper folks in the room. Hey, it doesn't need to be $1,500 or $2,000 campaigns to be not only effective for the client, but cumulatively huge for you. So you can see our scenario. This is something everybody needs to cheerlead. Hey, go out and close me a couple of these. And, by the time you get to the end of the month, you got 8 of these at $600 a pop. Now you got $2,400. Those are easy to renew with good reporting. And next thing you know, you've got a $150,000 juggernaut that you've added per rep to the revenue pie. So again, it doesn't need to be overwhelming. Probably the biggest lesson I learned when I was selling digital, and I know Elizabeth, you had some of those same experiences when you were selling product.
No, 100%. There's 6 bullet points here. So I mean, just to hit it home again, this is talk about easy, but it's also working these KPIs, right? Because the metrics, they will deliver if you start with the pipeline, right? I say pipeline is the lifeline. If you have your AEs, your sellers, shoot, if you're a manager, get in there yourself, right? Kind of set the tone, right? For what you want to see happen in the marketplace with your sellers. 2 a week, solid.
Such a reasonable expectation, right? Very
Look
reasonable.
at that revenue, $150,000. I mean, that's 2 senior AEs. That's their salary right there. That is real revenue. That is real money.
Right. Okay, so we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about defense. Defense wins games, and we got to kind of acknowledge some realities out there. Again, some Burrell data that I definitely wanted to talk about. I saw this chart. I've been sharing this with potential partners and current partners for quite a while now. I first saw this chart, I think, at a conference in St. Louis a few months ago, and it really got my attention because as a print person, we kind of know what our competitors look like, right? We know who they are. They've been in our market, maybe as a competing print product or a radio station or a TV station. They've been in the market for a while. But the future competitors are not those folks. So what you guys are looking at here is a chart that's really projecting the growth of independent digital marketing agencies. So people that have access to platforms similar to AdCellerant with our product line. So we want to really kind of put an exclamation point on this for y'all and just recognize, hey, just over here since COVID, we've seen, more than 1,000 new independent players pop up. So these are people, y'all think about it, not the radio station, not the competing magazine in your market, but a new guy with access to all these products that we're talking about today, coming knocking on your customers' doors. And that's something we have to recognize is a reality. The projection right now based on the Burrell data is that's going to go to somewhere in the ballpark of triple the number that exists today. So these are the folks that we're up against. So, how do we defend against that? Well, we can't stop them. We can't shut them down, right? So how do we deal with it? Talk about it. Not in our house, baby.
No way, no how. This is where, I mean, you've got your full stack solution, right? You are working with the right partner that is proactively supporting your team with training, with, joining you on those sales calls. You have transparency into everything that's happening behind that curtain, and you're able to showcase it to your advertiser, right? You're not just helping them. And there was a fantastic analogy used a while ago about, someone really just focusing on, mowing their lawn, just having a lawnmower. Well, then you need to trim the hedge. You need to do this. You need shears. You need all these other things to help really get you that great backyard, great front yard. We're full of analogies today, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You need to be sure that you're able to address any and all of those concerns. So when that agency, when that new competitor, unbeknownst to you in the marketplace, is knocking on, as Ken was saying, is knocking on your client's doors, they're going to say, no, I'm good. I'm all good. I'm working with Elizabeth and Ken. I'm working with some amazing folks at the print at the newspaper, at the magazine, and I'm set. They're addressing my goals and objectives. They have a plan and a solution. And guess what? There's full transparency into what's going on. So I know what's happening at all times with my campaign. Thanks, but no thanks. That's what we want. That is the goal. Thanks.
That is, well, you've got it right. And that is that impenetrable defense. Okay. That's where you've got everybody covered. You got quick people in the corners. You got big horses up front, blocking the running lanes, and it's legit. And again, whether you're doing business with us, whether you're doing business with somebody else, we hope you're doing business with us. But again, whoever your digital partner is,
Yep.
Again, just, I would encourage you to keep up with what the new shiny object is in digital. One of the things I love about AdCellerant is that we're always looking at, what's around the corner, always testing the new product. I know, Elizabeth, just within the last 30 days, took 6 months worth of testing to add it to our stack. But one of our email marketing products, we've added a daily in-market email list as a supplement to our current database. It's basically a really cool idea. It's a programmatic scrub. So we basically take, if we got a consumer list where they're interested in furniture, well, we actually scrub that on a day-to-day basis, scrub the list and see if their programmatic activity, if their web activity matches up and is really current with that email address. So what we've seen is open rates, doubling and tripling, all the activity just kind of going through the roof. So, in the past where, again, if a lot of the print people in the room, Elizabeth, you've been there as well, digital was frustrating in the past because if you wanted to deliver all the stuff that we're looking at here on screen, you usually had to have 2 or 3 different vendors to be able to do it. And what we really enjoy here is that we do provide that ultimate defense for our clients, because pretty much anything you're going to find in the digital world, we've probably got it in our house and in the stack and ready for y'all to be able to sell. So, guys, listen, I've really enjoyed it. Hope today was informative and fun. Elizabeth, I know you love being on these calls, and guys, just in the last couple minutes here as we're kind of signing off, anybody has any questions, please jump into the chat. Happy to do that. I know Susan will also be sharing this webinar as well as email addresses. So, we are the ultimate ready and willing consultants to help our print people who are close to our hearts. So happy to help in any way.
Thank you, Ken and Elizabeth. I appreciate all your expertise on this. And I do want to share with all of you on the call that if you do need assistance with these digital solutions or want to brainstorm ideas, I'm here to help with that. We did establish a digital buying group that gives you access to all of AdCellerant's products through VPA with no additional expense or commitment on your part. So I can be your funnel to get these products, and even I'm willing to help pitch them to clients. We used AdCellerant on, in addition to all your websites, on some of the Department of Health communications for childhood vaccines. Yep. And they were so impressed with the results that they got from the combination of newspaper websites and some of the very targeted solutions that we used with AdCellerant. They saw increased traffic to their websites. They had more engagement on social media, and it was such a win-win. And I know all of you worked so hard on all of that. It was a lot of work, but
Susan, I love that, and I again, kind of reading me in, I love the idea that you're giving your members access to that. I get it. When I was kind of working my newspaper group into the digital world, I would have loved to have had access to to an organization like yours that would allow me to kind of maybe make a little bit of a baby step into selling digital before the kind of the full commitment, right? Yeah.
It's not hard to upsell clients onto when you're talking solutions. You don't even have to talk about digital. And I thank you so much for bringing that up, because make it easy for your clients to buy from you. and give them the solution that works. So I guess I just wanted to chime in and just say, we're here as a resource, and AdCellerant backs us up, and we have a great account manager, Ryan Calzavara, who works with us, and he's been a great.
He's a rock star.
Yeah, yeah. So please reach out if we can help in any way, and we're here for your success. Thanks.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Guys, we have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know we'll see y'all soon. Best of luck to whoever your team is this weekend. And got to say it, go Tigers.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye.